Jeanette Johnson is the founder of Farming Academy, a leading training platform, and she is a highly skilled dog trainer. In this chat, she reveals her opinion that some of her dogs are autistic, and we discuss similarities in coping strategies.
Yeah, hello, my name is Jeanette Johnson, and I have a master's degree in animal science. And seen from my point of view, we have a weird kind of animal called the human being. So it might not have been included in my studies, but as I specialized in animal behavior, I see a lot of parallels to human behavior. And that's why I found this topic very interesting.
Yeah, it is very interesting, especially when you said that there are dogs that can be called that they have autism. So can you say a few words about that, please?
Yes, I'm a sheepdog trainer, and I have seen a lot of dogs that I call autistic, and it's actually a quality statement coming from me in the given setting, because when you are a sheepdog, you are highly specialized in certain behavioral patterns, and those patterns can be seen as pure magic, as the best of the best when you're working with them in the environment that the behavior is developed for. But if you take them out of that environment, it can be seen as something that is so hard to understand. And you keep saying, why? Why can it not just behave like a normal dog? And it is behaving like a normal sheepdog. But we have, when it comes to animal behavior and dog behavior, we have a spectrum too. When I look at the dogs, I see kind of a spectrum when it comes to behavior too. And the part of the behavior that I find most fascinating is also the part that is very similar to what I've been told is traits that you see in autistic humans too. So that's why I call those kind of dogs the autistic dogs. And when you train them, you need to do it in another way. To get them to work with you and find you worth listening to, you need to be super logical and follow the rules. Because they are all about rules.
So
they are ruled by rules.
Yeah. So you can actually share your experience, how you analyze their behavior and how it might help us humans to understand behavior and mindset of people with autism.
Exactly. When I start to train a sheepdog, and when I say sheepdog, I mostly look at the top of the line. That's the border collie, the working Kelpie, because they are bred solely for moving sheep, and that's their life. They have nothing else on their mind, to be honest. And when they go in a situation, they are born knowing a set of rules. And the set of rules it's easy to see when you go in and analyze it. If you look at it from the right point of view, it is so logical what they're doing, because they are doing the same as a wolf that is hunting in a pack. And they have some rules that are inherited. It is stored in their DNA. So as soon as they open their eyes, they have eye. Eye is a special behavior where they are focusing 100% on the object that is moving, and they can even freeze. That's another part of the spectrum when it comes to dogs. They are optimized to always follow the sheep in the flock, and to have the whole point of view so they can see the whole flock of sheep, they have to have a certain distance to the flock. And that gives the dog a natural distance. And that is something you need to train a lot with other dogs that don't are 100% sheep dogs like these are here. And when you start to move around as a human, move around the flock of sheep, the sheepdog will balance. And when we say balance, it will be on the other side of the flock in principle. And it is natural behavior for them. As soon as they can walk, they will start to display that behavior. And if you had to teach the dog to do this, you would never get a working dog, because it is such a complex behavior that is in their genes. And those dogs, they are brilliant at getting this kind of logic. I usually say when I train this with people, it's much easier to train the dogs than the owners, because the dogs are born with 90% of what they need in their DNA. Us as humans, we are born with max 10%. So it's our task to catch up with the dog. Because if we are not at the same level as the dog, then the dog would maybe just look for somebody who is a bit more wise, seen from the dog's point of view, to find a better leader that actually know what they're doing, instead of that stupid human that is always standing the wrong place. And oh my God, you can see it in the dog's behavior. Sometimes you can see what they think, and usually they're right. When the person is standing exactly the wrong place, when you have to move. If you have to move sheep up in a trailer, for instance, you should not block the entrance for the trailer. And most people do that. And the dog is working double to compensate for humans standing in the wrong position. But that's another thing. They are when these kind of dogs, when they're working, they're very forgiving, because they know this is the most important thing in life. It's to move those sheep. That's what they live for. That's what they breathe for. When you take this brilliant sheepdog in the house, you take your superstar, your best work companion, and bring it home to your family, and maybe you have another family dog, and that dog could be a sweet golden retriever, Labrador retriever, that is just being happy, showing you where the refrigerator is all the time, and thinking about food. The sheepdog, especially the border collies, they will never ever accept that stupid dog don't know how to move sheep. It's just thinking about finding something, putting it in its mouth, walking around, walking like a baby, because the retrievers have a very clumsy behavior. When they're walking, they're wiggling, and it's a clown seen from the border collie's point of view. And they try all they can to convince the retriever to act like a grown-up dog. It's not okay to act like a puppy, because in a group of dogs, the puppies have a special status. They are allowed to do things that grown-ups are not allowed. So the border collie will try to teach the retrievers constantly. And normally the retrievers will ignore them as long as they can. But when the border collie is ignored, it will not accept that, because the border collie know the rule. And the border collie know that they are put on this earth to control everything. So they have to communicate the rules all the time. To the poor retriever, that's just being a retriever. It's like they're from two different planets. So the border collie will start to go in and bite the retriever and try to be more and more physical and actually displaying more and more aggressive behavior to get that fool of a retriever to understand what is important in this world. And that's why those two kind of dogs, it's not a good match. But both are very, very good dogs, but they are just good dogs in different environments. And I think that when I compare border collie sheepdogs to autism, maybe autism is a very, very brilliant trait to have in the right environment. And if you should teach the border collie to behave and not to teach the retriever all the time, you have to do something where you compensate by changing the environment. And how can you do that? One way can be to separate the two dogs, so you stop the conflict there. You can also try to do some tasks where they each can see the value in the other.
But maybe that's more.
But it's a hard task, that one. But I think it's a lot of those things you see in animal behavior. We as humans can learn so much if we actually take the time and watch and try to analyze what's happening. Not only from our point of view, actually try to see how is the individual seeing the world. Because maybe we are not right all the time. When we are talking about the dogs still here, then we have the brilliant sheepdogs I told you about when they go into I. And I is a position where they are super focused on what they're working with. And I is brilliant, but too much I is impossible to work with, because we have some in the spectrum in the border collie. We have the optimal I that makes them be aware of everything that's happening. Then we have the dogs that display too much I. They lock. They go into like a trance. They just stand and look at the sheep and nothing happens. And they can stand there for hours, for days, if you don't physically remove them. And they shut the world out. And it's like that. As long as they can see the sheep, they think they are controlling the sheep. So they can stand for hours just looking at the sheep. And the sheep will adapt to the situation because they see the dog is not doing anything. So they'll just start grazing or walk away. But if the dog can still see them?
Yeah, I can compare. Sometimes my son has this, that he's gone into trance. Like I think that he's just into the world. He's not here. He's like outside. And or sometimes when he makes this, he's circling around. He just needs. I understand that he needs that to take some pressure away, and so he needs this time. He can spend 5 minutes doing that. As if I start doing it, I will fall down.
And in a group, when you're working with more than one dog at the time, you need to have dogs that can work together that have different skills. Because if everybody is a superstar in that little area, what about the rest? So you need to have somebody who have different skills. And we as humans need to accept that we don't have to be the same person.
Yeah.
We have to have a bit of color.
Doesn't have to be like us. Yeah.
Exactly. And learn to see what is fantastic in being different.
Yeah. So these dogs, they are born like that.
Yes.
So there is different approach in training Labrador and in training sheepdog.
Oh yes. Oh yes. And sheepdogs, they can loud noises. It doesn't work with sheepdogs. A loud noise destroy the day for a sheepdog. So if you take them hunting, you destroy the dog. And they get so scared and they go into panic and they run, and you cannot reach them. So loud noises, it's not for sheepdogs.
So actually what they like is, like you say, structure, discipline,
Yes.
yeah, playing by the rules.
Yes. And they love to tell everybody else what mistakes they make.
Yes.
They like that.
How do they do that?
Like when the retriever is walking like a puppy, they go up and knock the dog down or jump on it or start to show aggression. Say, you cannot behave like that, idiot. And that's very normal behavior, and you cannot blame the dog for being what it is. You can blame yourself as an owner.
Yeah,
for not understanding.
Yeah, but they're not naturally aggressive. It's just when somebody is not following the rules or
yes,
crossing the border, their border. Yeah,
exactly. That's why they're called border collies now. But sometimes it feels like that. And if you understand them, they are brilliant, and you can learn so much from them. But never try to make them into something they're not. And why should you?
Yeah, that's very important. Never try to make something into what they are not. Yeah. Yes. So if you just sum it up, your analysis of like you say, autistic dogs.
Yes.
So what would you say in a few words?
I would say, if you try to understand how they work, you can get nothing better for those tasks. And if you want to alter their behavior, maybe you should alter their environment instead of trying to alter them. So it is up to you to go the extra mile, so you can get something that's brilliant instead of something that's annoying. Yeah. So, and I have also noticed that autistic children, they want to communicate with the border collies, because it's like they have the same language.
Very interesting.
They understand, oh my God, there's structure here, there's rules here, there's no loud noises. And when you're working in balance, working around the sheep, a lot of autistic kids that don't want to talk to the rest of the world, suddenly they see a smart individual that is just moving when they're moving. And they understand the situation. And the dog picks up on it and say, oh my God, finally a human being that understands the rules. And they actually like each other. And it can be a way to help kids to open up and communicate, because there's somebody who's worth talking to there in the dog. So that can be inspiration.
Very interesting.
That if you display aggression or even being dissatisfied, then you can ruin the whole training process. You have to think, you have to be calm, you have to be in control, because all they want to be is in control, and you have to lead by example. So you have to be in control, and being hysterical and running around like a headless chicken doesn't help in any situation. So when we want to teach the dog, first of all, we set up the training exercise for success, not for failure. So take away a lot of the wrong possible solutions the dog can get up with. So you leave it with one, maybe two suggestions for what to do, where one is maybe a little bit better than the other one, and let it pick between those. That's why when we train the young dogs, we often use a round pen, so the dog cannot go in and bite the sheep, because it will bite if it's frustrated. And if you are frustrated, then the dog will be frustrated. And then the dog will bite and you get even more frustrated. And forget it.
So it starts with you, actually, yes? It starts with
It starts with you being well prepared.
With a parent. It starts with a parent.
Yeah. And it starts by using your brain, being well prepared for the situation, and setting up training.
Every dog can smell when the human is angry or happy, but the sheepdogs, they're even more sensitive than any other dog regarding that.
Yes, because they read body language, and they don't know words as such, but they know your tone.
Yeah.
Of course they do. But you have to find a common language. And that language is not the spoken word alone. There's so much more. But people have to have a tendency to focus on the spoken word, or the written word for that matter. But what about all the other signs your body is giving out?
Communication is not really words. There is non-verbal communication. Sometimes because it is one of the challenges of kids with autism, that they have problems with communication, not with language, not with words. Some are they can know 5 languages, but they don't communicate. Yes. So sometimes a dog can communicate better than a person who knows 5 languages.
Exactly. Yeah. And what is communication? It is something to do with sending a message that is being received, and getting a message and understanding it yourself.
Understood, yes.
Yeah. So it's not just talking. It's also listening and understanding. I'm also doing team building with people, and I use the animals there.
But just a silly question from me. For example, if I would like to have in our house border collie, it will not work.
Yes, if you have sheepdog. Yeah, if you have sheep, if you have a farm.
But if I don't, so better not. Yeah.
Then you asked for it. You can compensate, but it's only a compensation. It's not the real thing.
Okay. So
environment
is the key.
Exactly. And understanding that special individual. And understanding that special individual is not an annoying idiot. It's a brilliant genius in the right environment.
Yeah. Very important. Very interesting. It was very interesting to talk to you, and very interesting subject.